Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wellness Talks. I'm your host, Jonathan Ehrenberg. On today's episode, I'm going to try both video medium and audio medium. And by that, I'm hoping that it will resonate with more of a captive audience and people get involved more with the discussion on mental health. But I especially wanted to do a video slash audio recording session because a lot of people, especially lately, have asked me, well, when do you get to the end of the road to mental wellness? And it's a very good question. And well, I thought it might be an easy question to answer. It's in fact a little bit more tricky than I had originally thought. So I thought that I would try to explain it out there on internet land and try to provide more clarity and purpose as to why I'm continuously on the road to mental wellness. First of all, we're kind of wired for a beginning, a middle, and an end to everything. And while that applies to a lot of things in our lives, it's not necessarily applicable to everything that we go through in life. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about and suggest that is not necessarily on that continuum of beginning, middle, and end is mental health conditions. And there's good reason for that. And one of those reasons is that mental health conditions aren't as simplistic as a lot of people have us believe. So, for example, for those who like say, well, I've gotten over it, so you can too, or, you know, you just need to suck it up, or you're not strong enough, or whatever, just go back to work, or whatever. I've heard them all. And, well, I wish that I could really, comply with those great suggestions. Mental health conditions have a different idea. So let me explain a little bit about my background for those who don't understand. So first, or don't know. Firstly, I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder in, I think 2019, and was, previous to that was diagnosed in 2018 with major depressive disorder. And there was already an anxiety disorder there. Surprise. Also, though, it might not have, my on-clinical opinion about the whole matter is that I've probably had post-traumatic stress for a very long time. I served in the fire service for 15 years and worked in long-term care in a very violent facility, which essentially, long-term care, death is part of the program. And in that particular setting, so was violence and a lot of noise. So between the two, which, firefighters and other emergency service workers see things that they should never, or no one should really see, I, for the best part of almost 20 years, have continuously subjected myself to that kind of violence and death and destruction. So, as you might imagine, some of us aren't quite so lucky with, I seem to be having some mic problems here, but as you might well imagine, just give me a sec. As you might well imagine, it can take a toll on people, and roughly 25% of emergency workers end up with post-traumatic stress. And basically, it's, from a neurobiological point of view, you have a situation where your amygdalas, the region of the brain that controls fight, flight, or freeze response, becomes malformed. And as a result, your fight or flight response is essentially on all the time. And the prefrontal cortex, which is right here, involves mood regulation and cognition and essentially making you up who you are. And it also functions as a brake for such a fight, flight, or freeze malfunction or a response. So if you're startled by something, you calm down, and the mechanism, the switch comes on, and you calm down rather quickly. Well, for people with PTSD, it's like somebody just threw the switch into high gear and decided to break off the handle and leave it in the permanently in fight or flight mode, which is a torturous place to be because it comes with hypervigilance, a higher startle response, nightmares and flashbacks, mistrust issues, sometimes agitation, and a whole host of other things. But getting back to the point of how it's all sort of not from beginning to middle to end, the road to mental wellness doesn't really, for a lot of us, well, I suppose it would be longer for some than others. In my case, it certainly has become very problematic, and this might get a little difficult for me. I apologize. It's been a very difficult road, full of challenges that I wasn't anticipating. Previous to this, and this is alluded to in my book, The Road to Mental Wellness, which will be released probably next month, that when I was primarily anxious and probably not so post-traumatic, I was able to do things, put together a comprehensive wellness program that essentially put me back on track. So fitness, diet, connection with others, and a routine and a plan, and a low stimulus environment, all put me back on the road to wellness. And essentially, I worked hard, and I was very proud of where I had gotten. And really, when you hit that threshold or go over the cliff with trauma, it's quite a different matter altogether. So I adopted the model that I had used, exercise and diet and so on, that I'd used previously, and I had been off work a couple of times, and my mental health history is that of off again, on again, work and things of that nature. So I often term it, and you'll read it in the book, as Mother Nature's medication. And that's 100% true. And if you follow the data and literature and actually practice it, you will notice a difference in your mental health. That's to a varying degree, depending on who you are as a person. It will vary, I'm sure, just as this mental health thing varies, and the road to mental wellness isn't exactly short, long, or bumpy, or rough, or smooth all the time. However, there are significant differences in a lot of cases. However, when I applied this very regimented routine after I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress and had to go off work because of PTSD, it didn't seem to have the same desired effect as it did when I was off previous few times. And it's a different beast, I think. And there's a multitude of other reasons why. So when people ask me, when will my road to the mental wellness end? I'm pretty sure that'll end with the end of whenever my life comes to an end. Hopefully many years from now. Because every day, every moment sometimes is a practice in mindfulness and knowing your limits and your threshold and all those things. So it is an interesting question, and it's like, it's not like you hit a stop sign and then you turn onto Better Avenue. I'm all Better Avenue. It's just, it's, this stuff bothers me a lot because all my life I've been a go-getter, and I've spent a significant period of time being a volunteer firefighter and working 7 days a week sometimes, or 12-hour shifts or what have you, and then raised 2 kids. So it was really hard to get over the fact that I thought I was a failure. So there, and having to systematically alter my life's plans for a mental illness that I've always been told, suck it up, you're a man, just deal with it. We got other things to do. Those things are sort of, well, they're mythical, really. And what I'm learning through this journey, and I have to learn to be, one, kind to myself, and so do you. And two, I also have learned that just as any other illness or ailment that you may have, it dictates the outcome sometimes in terms of customization. That doesn't mean that you give up and go to bed for the rest of your days. What it means is that what do I have to put in place to succeed with what the world has dealt me? Or, first of all, you need to take responsibility regardless of your ailments. And second of all, you have to educate yourself. And the long and short thing, and you'll see this recur in the book, is that you just have to do whatever it takes. As a firefighter, we're trained to do what it takes. You just can't leave when you get to the door of a structure fire. The place is on fire, and you're got the hose line, your partner behind you. You just can't say, well, you know what? Too much anxiety. It scares me too much. I'm done. That's not an option. And I'm grateful for that kind of mentality in a way, because I can translate it into my mental health journey. And essentially, so that what it becomes is a problem-solving mode. So what do I have to do to succeed, to carry on with life? Now, what that means is remarkably different than what I experienced when I was younger. And I've learned to be okay with that. And it's liberating to know that, okay, here's what's in front of me. What tools do I need to navigate around it, through it, up or over it, or around it, or under it, or whatever? And when you start to do your own homework, which I strongly suggest everyone does, you'll understand that there are ways to mitigate the symptoms of any mental illness. And again, it's going to vary depending on who you are, because this isn't like beginning, middle, and end. So, and no one size fits all is a myth. So, this isn't about weakness. It's about gathering the strength to change your life and change it for the better, regardless of how much energy you have or how limited it may be. You're still driving that bus, and you should not let, well, I shouldn't say you shouldn't let, but we need to do our best to make sure that our mental health conditions don't drive the bus. At the same time, we must understand that they will indeed drive the bus. It's just the way it is. Give yourself permission to, again, be kind to yourself. And when you are kind to yourself, you won't have that dimension of disappointment and negativity layered on top of already a very difficult diagnosis, a very difficult thing to navigate through. So it's okay to be where you're at, because it is what it is. And if you look at all the things that are available to you to help you, right? You can navigate through the systems. And part of that is navigating or advocating for yourself. And while that's very difficult with a mental health condition, trust me, I know, do it on your good days, That's what I do. When I feel well, like right now, I feel good today. I am doing a video, and it's also being recorded in audio form. Now, this is the first time I've done it. In a large part because I don't have the mental energy most of the time. And that's the problem with working in a profession. Like, what boss is going to let you take a week off of work because you have depression? Well, that's perfectly valid, 100% valid. That's not going to happen in this world. And there's one of the problems that we're facing as people who have mental health conditions, right? We're just simply not in a category that can be customizable for an economic work environment that's set up the way it is today. And even though I haven't been able to work, and I've done a little dabbling with with the blog, the Road to Mental Wellness, and the Facebook pages and the marketing and this podcast, the Wellness Talks, all those things. I do this when I'm well. I don't do this at all when I'm not well because I can't. And that's something that people need to understand, especially people who are, a support network or support system. And that means like financially, if you're on a long-term disability, which they won't be very forgiving, trust me, and family members and things like that. You can go all out because you want to keep your head busy from the flashbacks and all those kind of things, and you get yourself all tooled up for everything around you to do. And if that's not enough, you add something else on it, but then you're done, right? So although with a blog and all these things online, you're supposed to work every day at it, selling your, brand or whatever it is. That can't be done by somebody who's got mental health conditions every day. And in fact, I see a lot of people work hard at it, and like on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, they're posting away and they're advertising and trying to do their best. And the next thing you know, week or two, they're gone. Hello, mental illness. You're back again. And that's why the road to mental wellness is definitely not an up and down, beginning, middle, and end phenomenon, because you can go back from almost back on feeling like you're on better avenue, almost better avenue, to where did I go wrong place, It's just the way it is. And so the key point here is there's two key points here. One, the people that support people with mental health conditions need to learn about those mental health conditions. If it's depression, what does depression behave like? What does a person respond to? Why are they in bed? Why aren't they motivated? Why they look lazy to me? I don't know how to help them. People with PTSD, how do I help them? You figure out what the triggers are and you avoid those. Just one example of many. So that's what the support system around you can do. And for yourself, you can be kind and say, yes, I am, in fact, in a in a depressive episode, let's say. I cannot go outside that door today. But what I can't do equally is stay in bed every day for the rest of my life. So that means you have to set boundaries with yourself. And you have to understand that you can't stay in bed all the time. Now, that being said, again, everyone's different. So if you are more severe on the end of this depressive spectrum, if you are able to commit yourself from going to the bed to the couch, that's a form of success. That is success. And and this is something that only people with major depression know, probably, is that that's a major achievement, because trust me, there are days where I can't even look at my cell phone and I think, wow, that's just crazy. Like, that's so easy, but it's not. There's a whole, there's a bunch of causal factors that go into depression, which I won't get into today. But anyway, what you have to understand, I hate that word, actually. I hate that statement. What you have to understand, it applies, that I want you to hear what I'm saying, and that's absolute. What I think is important is to recognize that, put the boundaries in place, and move around, right? If it's getting out of bed to go to the couch, get some juice, whatever, And if you can do that, the next day you're back out on the couch, make it a goal to make yourself a cup of tea, and you'll slowly move yourself along and guide yourself through the fog of mental health conditions. None of this is easy, and it's not easy for the people who support you, and it's definitely not easy for the person who suffers. So I think it's best for everyone to work together and really educate and learn, because, as I say, that road to mental wellness can be long, it can be bumpy, and some people have to carve it out as they go. So with all that being said, the answer to the question is the road to mental wellness will look different for everyone, and the length and duration in which you have to travel on it will vary depending on who you are, what your genetic factors are, a whole host of things. So if anyone ever asks you, well, how long is it going to take for you to get out of your depression? Maybe you can refer them to this podcast, or maybe you can now have a better way to explain it, which is what I'm hoping to get out of this, to help you guys, both the sufferer and the supporter, and recognize too, when you're well, when I'm well, I need to do my best to support my supporters so that they know that I care and appreciate and love them. And so for everyone, I think that's in my shoes, it's important to give back to those people who have given to you, because it's very energy draining for them as well. So showing people that you care and appreciate their support is one of the most fundamentally gratifying things that you can do for your loved ones. So anyway, let's leave it here for today. And before I go, I'd like to thank everyone who tunes in to the Wellness Talks. Every time we have these podcasts, there's growth in audience, which I really appreciate. And if you're a return listener, I'm so grateful for that. Thank you. I hope you're getting something out of it, or you can pass some information along, or some way that you're, it's satisfying your need to know more about mental health conditions. Also, I'd like to take the time to thank everyone who supports the road to mentalwellness.com, the blog. We have many return readers, and it's wonderful. And the feedback that I get from it is fantastic. It's definitely worth pursuing, because for myself as a lifelong helper, I get so rewarded by the fact that I get somebody saying, thank you, I appreciate it, I needed that today, or any number of those kind of lines. And that's pretty well the only boost of energy I really get nowadays. And I think that's what drives me to continue to do this. So once again, we thank you for coming to the road to mentalwellness.com. There's lots of content there you may find relevant. I would love it if people would like and share the content that I produce. The sad reality is, though, for some reason or another, and again, I mean, I can't force anyone to share anything, but nothing that I put out gets shared. Certainly not by people who are close, but it doesn't. It's such a difficult topic that no one wants to maybe talk about it. But I'm going to refuse to let that be a deterrent, as like I have everything else. And but I do wish, and I do hope that you do share, because in my experience doing this, those people that have reached out or have read it or heard it or whatever have gotten some benefit from it. Now, not everyone, of course, but so one share could help somebody turn a corner, get the help they need, and that's true of any mental health advocate. So a share could really mean something to somebody. And that's where my priority lies. So if you could like and share our content, we would love that. And also, I have to say that The Road to Mental Wellness, the book, is now in the final stages, and I'm hoping to have it out next month. It's the story of my lifelong journey, battle with mental health conditions, and the people that have read it, the beta readers they're called, are giving me some excellent feedback, and it's exceeding my expectations. And with the help that I've gotten from this, from a wonderful editor, I'm not sure if she would like to be named at this point, so I'll just leave it there. But fantastic! I couldn't have asked for a better editor. And her and I, our work together has made this book so much better and exceeded my expectations. That I'm really looking forward to releasing it, because now I feel like it's up to a standard where it will do some good, and so I'd like to thank everyone involved in the project. I won't say any names because I haven't asked anybody as yet, and I don't think that's proper, but the photographer, the gentleman who did the foreword, the person who's doing the formatting for Amazon and paperback copies. You're just all a wonderful bunch, and I'm really appreciative of it. So please stay tuned to the Road to Mental Wellness Facebook page. Like and subscribe to my newsletter. Oh, well, admittedly, I don't do a lot there. I should be doing more. But if you like and if you like and share my content, it helps in the long run. What it'll do is help us boost our odds of landing like a publishing gig through a reputable and substantial established publishing company, which is the ultimate goal. So the more people we have that gravitate towards the road to mental wellness, social media, the more opportunity we have to get involved in even bigger things. And even though my mental health isn't ready for that yet, I am hopeful that it will be. And if I don't get there, that's okay. I can still plug away at what I'm doing. And the customization is great because I can just do what I'd like. But you know, we do people. Many people don't know this. We do accept donations and all those things. So if you'd like to donate, just drop me an email and we can make arrangements. But anyway, I've babbled too long. I'm just excited for the book now, and I think based on the readers' feedback that have already read it, it's a good book. Like I'm my worst critic, so I couldn't say anything about the book until I started getting feedback, and it's heartwarming, really. So thank you all who've read the book and provided me with feedback. It makes me teary-eyed, and but you know, I really appreciate it. So with all that said, I think it's time that we part ways for the day. But I look forward to our next episode on the Wellness Talks here. And please stay tuned to the Road to Mental Wellness.com. There's new content up there on a regular basis, and we have more contributing writers in the pipeline. So it will be expanding, and we'll have expertise, hopefully, and stories from other people, ranging from like pharmacology to diet and exercise. So please stay tuned for that, and we will be back. And we want you to have a great day. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye now.